a sudden, I found myself in love with the world, so there was only one thing that I could do, was ding-a-ding-dang, my dang-along-ling-long.
Thinking is important, isn't it? I mean, you would think that would be without saying, but you take all these factors into play when you're thinking about something as opposed to being told. You know, what conditions you're under, for example, how it affects people, how it affects yourself, how it affects your future. You know, all these different variants of things, and you have to think about stuff. I think I wrote that article called "Regret Able." I don't know if you read that or not, but it was about how not to have regrets. Essentially, they're built into your DNA to want to have them, right? Essentially, and that was about not overanalyzing things, and there are multiple types of regrets, for example, right? And they have to do with thinking about what you're doing, right?
Mm-hmm.
Give you an example. One regret is that you didn't go get and this is in the article, that you didn't get the fries when you were at McDonald's, right? It's a small regret, but you can go back and change it,
Right.
and then there's regrets that you can't go back and change. When you get into thinking that people aren't analyzing appropriately, and or that analysis takes too long, right? And then you're in a position of paralyzation.
Analysis paralysis.
Right, where you've done nothing.
You think about it over and over, but you never make a decision.
Yeah, so studies show that if you engage in regrets, too frequently, that actually has a much larger impact on your psyche than it does had you gone for it, if you will.
Yep, and I think that actually ties into your health too, because
certainly
it will drag you down. And it sounds like it's a component of basically the rational mind. And that was a concept that I think I'm stealing from Peterson because it's heavily on my mind. But it's like the rationalization. You have a rational part of your brain that sits there and just keeps hammering away at you. And that's where the regrets come from, right? Because you're looking at it and you're analyzing it, and you may not even be consciously thinking about it, but that regret is back there.
Oh yeah, and that's why they had different types of regrets. Essentially, the one where you could go back, you could turn around a mile out and go back and get the fries, and then say, "Okay, I've satisfied that quote unquote, small regret." And then there are those where you wanted to maybe get that job, or you should have done this thing, or you wanted to do this thing, and you never did do it, right? And that's not a regret that you can return to. The article was more or less about how not to have regrets and how to analyze things a little bit more diligently and understand that you're in that pattern of thought processes at that time. It's decision making, right? Thinking is in part about decision making, right? So, and thinking for yourself, but there are, in some cases, even as you said, subconsciously, hundreds, if not thousands, of variables that go through your mind in order to make a decision or not. Even what is seemingly the smallest decision that could impact your life. There are larger things, obviously, like asking somebody to marry you, or which are going to impact your life for quite some time, if not infinitely, right? They have to be pretty well thought out, but not overanalyzed, because none of us have a crystal ball.
Nope.
To look into the future and see how that's impacting you. And it was about actually how to get off your ass and do something, essentially. Meaning, go ahead and take the risk every now and then. Otherwise, you're never going to know what could have happened.
Right. But I think regrets, you have to hold on to some of those, because at some point, I think, don't you reach a psychopathy, I think is the word?
Well, I mean, the idea of having regrets is, or not having any regrets.
Because if you have none,
is that you're psychopathic,
right?
Right, that you have
That's the extreme.
That's the extreme. That you have no remorse, that you have no thought processes, that you have no, emotion about it. I'd like to think that I have no regrets. Meaning, I look back, and it's not because I'm psychopathic. It means that I look back and I say the decisions that we've made, and you can't go back in history and change them. You can't.
No.
I'm not going to get into therapy again like I did last week, but I mean, I've been through, some pretty horrible things. Right?
Yeah, where's that couch I ordered?
Yeah,
It's supposed to be right over here.
But that have affected other people, myself included, but other people as well. And you can't go back and change it. So what is, at what point does it? I don't want to say that it doesn't matter, but what can you do about it at this point?
Well, there was an article that I actually read about leadership where people who have psychopathic or I want to call it antisocial, but that's not the right term. But it's the people who tend to be more psychopathic tend to be in roles of leadership. And not throwing rocks at you, but it's
I could be. I don't know.
Well, I think that there's a balance, right? Life is about balance, and especially when you're talking about regrets and your life and things that have happened and things that were in your control and out of your control. It makes you the sum total of everything that you've experienced where you're at right now.
All right, so let's use somebody as an example because a lot of the audience doesn't know us personally. So, and nor do they know Donald Trump personally. And this is not a political discussion.
Nope.
Okay, so let's put that to the side, whatever your politics are. Do you think that he has a component of psychopathic tendencies or not? Because obviously, regardless of your politics, you have to put that to the side for a minute, because saying that we're all binary and Republican and or Democrat is in and of itself bizarre, right?
That's just polarization.
Well, it is a polarization that's extremely hurtful to the ways that we live, but nonetheless. This is a guy who says whatever he wants, whenever he wants, pretty much gets away with pretty much everything, right? His style is very abrupt, forthcoming. That's interesting. A lot of the CEOs that I've met over the years don't seem to be all there. I've met dozens and dozens, if not hundreds of them over the years. They all seem to be a little bit off. I could be one of them, potentially.
What are you thinking, like autistic in that sense?
No, not on the spectrum or anything like that. But they definitely take more risks, undoubtedly. They've taken more risks than most people.
Well,
and they certainly haven't all worked out.
That's what gets you there, right? Is the willingness to take risk.
Well, at the end of that article, Regret Able, it basically says, go ahead and you're not going to get big green signs that say, go ahead and take the risk.
Go.
Right. What you do is you get warning signs that say, don't take the risk. Stop here. Watch out for this cliff, so on and so forth. But what you don't get is, a go sign, a green light that says, go ahead and take that risk. It might actually just be worth it now. Do they always work out? Of course not. Now look at what Donald Trump has done. All right. I mean, essentially people would like to put him into a corner and say he's a reality TV star, but that's not the reality. The reality was a successful, arguably successful businessman who went bankrupt many times. I'll go ahead and say it, but it still didn't stop him from going and going and going and going and going and going and so on and so forth.
Right.
To where he's still wealthier than most people, and then running for president, which he was asked back in the 80s if he was going to do. And he put it to the side for a little while, waited his turn.
He said if he was needed, if he thought he was needed, he might think about it. He would consider it.
Yeah, and that was back from the 80s when he was sort of a hot topic. This is well before. I think that this... the millennial generation has to recall or may not understand that he was a successful businessman well before he was on what was the show called? At The Apprentice.
Oh, yeah.
They I would imagine that they see him as the apprentice guy, which is, they say, why is a reality TV guy the president? But he had a 30-year history prior to that.
Wasn't he in Home Alone as well, too? Sorry.
The first one.
Yeah, I think so.
Was him doing what?
That's right.
He was.
What was he doing in Home Alone?
He gave
That's
Kevin
right.
directions.
He
or
gave him
something like
directions. That's interesting. I totally forgot about that.
that. His claim to fame.
I don't recall the scene where he was in Home Alone.
Yeah, he was wandering around New York, the little kid, and he was like
Macaulay Culkin.
Yeah, Macaulay. Yeah. Whew. Well, no, we could talk about regrets there, huh?
Yeah, no kidding. He actually cleaned up a little bit.
He's gone back and forth a few times, I think. Yeah, but anyway, yeah, he asked Donald Trump for directions or something, and he just
Yeah. Well, he was quite famous well before The Apprentice.
No, he's built some major. He had a major influence in Atlantic City. Atlantic City was failing when he got in there. And of course, he's had some questionable deals, I think, in the press and maybe in reality in Atlantic City. He's had some failures there, but, that's the thing. You may have a regret, but they don't get hung up about it. They keep moving forward.
Well, he keeps jamming right through about it. He doesn't even care what people think.
Now, is that almost like the same mindset of, say, like Special Forces or something of that nature, where you're just not giving up? It doesn't matter.
I'm not sure that Donald Trump is actually has an awareness of his self-being. Does that make sense?
Really?
No.
I think that would be hard for me to imagine, but
meaning
he's all about
the
everything outside.
I'm not sure that he is aware. I think he lives in a different world.
Well, yeah, money will do that,
right? You got to think about it. People have been kissing his ass for 40 years plus,
or after his ass.
Right.
He's made some enemies over the years.
Yeah, so he's made some enemies, but it's just like that's politics, right? You're not going to please everybody.
No.
So he's used to that part, right?
He's dealt with unions. He's dealt with Teamsters. He's dealt with, he's dealt with even more powerful people than himself.
Oh, sure.
When
I say self-awareness, when he makes decisions or when he tweets something out, I'm not confident that it is, as well thought out as it seems to be.
Really?
No.
So I could go two extremes on that. People would say, oh, he's crazy. He's absolutely a lunatic. And then there's another part of me that says, this is a script. I almost feel like it's a script. But it's a different kind of script than we're used to because everybody else has been so obfuscating the truth. Back to that again, is that, you can't get how do you know when a politician is lying? Their lips are moving, right? So.
Yeah, I gotta believe that he is just not that. He's, and I mean this respectfully, somewhat. I just don't think he's that bright, and that might actually be helpful to him. I'm not saying that Hillary was any better.
Oh, no. And we're not talking politics,
We're not
right?
talking politics. I'm talking about an individual person.
But the resilience. So you've got resilience and intent.
That's why it can all blow right by him, because he doesn't care what you think. Do I think it's a grand plan? No,
maybe
not really. Not really, because think about the debates, right? Not only could he not answer anything pretty much directly, I think it was not necessarily purposeful to say, I don't want to tell you my plan. I simply don't think he knew what the plan was. Meaning, yeah, I want the economy to be better.
Right.
So he'll pick up, a couple few topics to say, it's the same old shit, right? Build jobs.
Generally.
We'll build jobs. America will be great again. America's great again. America will be great again. And then you got Hillary over there wearing her, beanbag chair. What? I really think this is like the California issue that we talked about a few weeks back, meaning splitting California off into 3 parts, right?
Oh, yeah.
All right, now, is it sensical or not? They're going to have a vote on it in October,
November. November.
They've left it up to the people, right, to make
Well,
the
that doesn't
decision.
mean anything.
Well, the point being is I think sometimes people just like to be part of history,
Right.
right? And I'm not sure that Donald Trump got elected because he was that great. I think it's because a lot of people don't like Hillary Clinton. That's number one, because she's so polarizing. Number two, because she's so seemingly so calculated in her desire to become president.
Mm-hmm.
And third, she's just comes off as disingenuous,
Absolutely.
and she wears bags.
Well, let's think about it when you said.
I say that because I saw her on the thing the other day. She looked like she was wearing a bag.
See when she fell down the stairs in India? She was out there with Uma. She like tripped down the stairs again.
Again, well, once you start falling downstairs, you shouldn't be president. Well, maybe, I don't know.
But no, going back to what you were saying about Trump and then his ability to talking about his inability, I should say, to answer those questions. But when he answered those questions, and I'm not debating it, it's not politics, but his intent behind those things, he's got a list of things that he's running through, and he's staying true to them. How many presidents have you seen in the last 50 years that have laid out what they were going to do and actually did it 6 months into their term? He's 2 years into his term, and he's still following those points. I'm going to make jobs better. I'm going to do this. I'm going to do that. And I'm going to do, throw in North Korea, throw in Iran. We're not going to be the world's, piggy bank.
Right.
He's sticking to it. That's an amazing thing in and of itself.
I'm not disputing that he's not sticking to it. It is unusual, for example, I think it came out today that he was going to have a chat with the Iranians. The policy of the U.S. over the last 60 years with North Korea has been not to talk to them at all, right? Unless it's through Switzerland or somebody like that, right? Or so he is providing something different for sure, and I think that was the third or fourth point I was going to say, which is I think people are just so sick of politicians in general. Meaning Congress's approval rating is like 2.
Oh yeah,
right. They're so tired, just like yourself. Like, man, you're so tired of hearing the same nonsense. I think people are willing to give it a shot.
Mm-hmm.
Let's just try something else. It's not even Trump. It's just something else.
Right.
Now, if he continues to do what he's doing in terms of following up on what he said he's going to do, and the economy stays as is, he'll get reelected.
That's probably a fair assumption.